As for things about the pre-regs, it's similar. It shows good professionalism, doesn't it, to attend a diploma and want to do it, or even not want to do it, but do it, because it shows that you're actually taking initiative to develop yourself for your profession, whether that's forced or not. And definitely, from a patient point of view, I think I'd rather be seen by someone who at least is attending courses to help them understand stuff more than not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it does.
Brilliant. Thank you. So I'm just going to change topic slightly. So I mentioned about wanting to hear kind of like about your experience of work, in particular complex cases or complex situations. So when I, mention complexity, complex cases or complex situation, kind of what comes to mind? How would you define something as being complex that you would deal with on a day-to-day basis?
So in terms of clinical or in terms of...
Either. It could be clinical or just a general complex situation.
And how I deal with it?
Yeah. But kind of work-wise. So actually, if you could just define what that, what you think of when I mention complexity, and then if you could talk me through an example.
I guess I don't know, but probably something that I just wasn't very familiar with, or would need extra help with, or something. Do you have just a definition, or do you want me to just say how I feel about it?
What you think, yeah.
I think I would find stuff complex if it was affecting people. Like I get quite affected by people. So I would say there was a problem, like an HR problem, or a personal problem that we had to deal with, or that's in terms of that's at work. And then clinically, I just would something that I've never seen before, or something like just a complex patient with lots of care needs that I would have to sort out. Or a complex day might be like I've got so much to do. I've got to cover a ward by myself now. Or there's loads of discharges. Just anything that's probably above my normal functioning is how I would think of complex, I think.
Okay. So, thinking about your recent practice, things that you might have dealt with in the last week or couple of weeks, is there a complex situation or case, clinical or non-clinical, that you've had to deal with recently? And could you talk me through that? Just give me an example.
Yeah, is this all confidential?
It is, yes, it is.
So I have, I look after the pre-regs. So one of the pre-regs is going to be, it didn't get signed off, and is at the very, very end. So she didn't do her exams, and there was her and her tutor didn't really get on. There was pretty problems throughout the year which we hadn't been addressed. Turns out there's probably a lot of home problems, and now she's got a new tutor. That was very complex, and how I handled it. I took guidance from my senior of how to do it, and we're just going to have to do a lot of self-reflection and planning in place for next year, so this doesn't happen again. We changed her tutor in a very diplomatic way. We figured out some kind of like who she can talk to about her home life. Probably how I handle it at the beginning when you hear it all is that you have to just make a plan, very non-judgmentally and you want to hear one side of a story at the beginning, aren't you? So getting everyone's sides and thinking about it like that. And I actually think from the diploma point of view, you have to do stuff with HR, and you have to line manage as part of your CPD, reflection portfolio thing.
Oh, right, okay.
And that might have helped.
Okay.
Because I'd already had experience in it. But yeah, that was very complex. And I think the things that I find hardest to do is when it affects people. That's what I get most annoyed at. I'm most frustrated at. Like some of the ward when you've got a really sick patient and so yesterday there was another really complex patient, really difficult to manage, and is now probably going to die. And the daughter is how everyone handles the family. Yeah.
Okay. So.
But you also just get experience from just being at work. I've been working for 5 years now, so you kind of just develop over time, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. So just going back to the pre-reg example, what was your actual role in that? Was it as your role as a in kind of coordinating pre-reg?
To facilitate that whole thing.
Okay, so you weren't the tutor or
yeah. So like, how are you going to deal with it? So firstly, she's not been signed off.
Mm-hmm.
Why was it only picked up now?
Right. Okay.
First problem.
Mm-hmm.
Second problem, it's very difficult when you've got colleagues who are probably of equal level
mm-hmm.
to getting signed off,
mm-hmm.
which probably brings into standardising for
mm-hmm.
tutors.
Mm-hmm.
Third thing, the relationships. Forcing the things at home, and then the last thing is like where we're going to go from here then. It's all well and good talking about it forever, but what we're going to do.
So assume I'm not a pharmacist and I kind of don't really understand what pre-reg is. Could you kind of explain the significance of that? Those like, so she won't be signed off. So what is the significance or impact of that?
For her?
Yeah, or just generally. So if you were explaining to someone who didn't know anything about pharmacy, why is it important?
Qualify as a pharmacist.
Okay, brilliant, yeah.
So the impact on her life.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's how I'd explain it.
Okay. So, how do you think you dealt with that situation, looking back?
Really well, actually.
Yeah.
I think that it was probably handled quite well. I think it probably could have been handled better from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very into there's no point in talking for an hour about something. Let's just make a plan. And so we just did that. And very diplomatically and calmly. So yeah.
Okay. Great.
And I think that's just partly maybe my personality and the way I am, and I'm partly because I do a lot of self-reflection of how I work.
Yeah.
And actually do you know what? That is one good thing the diploma has done. For UCAN, definitely. Every single thing that you did in diploma at UCAN, you had to reflect, which is really annoying when you're doing it. You're like, oh God, another reflection.
Yeah.
But I reflect all the time now. I reflect at home in my life. I think I pretty self-reflect daily now, and how things can go better next time.
Right, okay.
So, I think I know the pre-reg, I've worked with her quite a lot. I'm just not very, I sound like, I am professional obviously, but I work in a very informal way. That probably has helped in this situation, maybe not all the time, but it definitely has helped in this situation, to be able to manage it from a mentor point of view rather than a lead. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's helpful. And then kind of the patient situation. So you said you mentioned complex patients. So what makes a patient complex? Could you talk me through that again? If I wasn't a pharmacist,
for me personally, it would be something that was going to take a long time to sort. A patient who's on an elderly care ward, who's coming with an infection, who is also a renal transplant patient, who has cancer now, who is diabetic, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then maybe their liver's gone off as well, really care needs. Or complex would be you can't sort, even what's the word? Operational stuff, the patient overseas and you don't know what medicines are on. And how are you going to sort it out? It's things that would take up my time. That's hard. Or a complex social issue that makes you have to get involved in it more than you would ever have to have done before. That's what I think. But obviously the definition of complex changes. When I was a 6, if I had to switch someone's medicines from oral to NG, I'd be like, oh my God, complex.
Right.
And now I'd be like, whatever. So now my idea of complex is oh my God, I don't know what to do with this patient. I think of the last complex patient. I've not had to do it for a while because I elderly care, but and then you just learn what you're used to, don't you? But my last complex one was a Parkinson's patient who is unable to swallow and then